Welcome back, everybody, to the Electronic Age. I'm your host, Adrian Saya, and on today's show, we have a very special guest. We have PhiPhi in the building. What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Listen, I'm so happy I ran into you downtown recently, and when I first saw you, I'm like, hold up. I know I've seen this girl perform before, and you were performing under the name Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. Probably. And when I saw you, I was like, I gotta tell you what's up and get you on the podcast. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course. That was so sick. I love meeting people randomly and then being able to connect,
Leading to new experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Yeah.
So how about we just get started? If you were to introduce yourself to the audience and they don't know who you are, how would you present yourself?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, yeah?
Well, I would probably introduce myself as PhiPhi.
Okay.
Because that is now how I what my artist name is.
Okay.
But it's short for Phoenix.
Okay.
Phoenix is the originator. She's the mother. I never really tell anyone my government name.
Fair. Fair.
But if you know, you know.
I like it. I like it.
But yeah, I would introduce myself as PhiPhi. I would probably, I don't know. I usually like to allow people to ask me questions because I don't want to overshare if they're not interested.
I've been there before. Oh, I definitely do.
And it's not a good feeling to
overshare. It's not. You can just see the loss of amusement in their eyes. And like, I'm talking to a wall now.
Exactly. So it depends what someone wants to hear from me and what they ask me. I'm open to anything though. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, PhiPhi's also a DJ, a very, very talented DJ.
Thank you.
And so you first began, you said it's short for Phoenix, right?
Yes.
So when you first began, how did you come up with the name Phoenix? What about that name encompassed you as a DJ?
So that was actually a name that my mom came up with.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She wanted to name me I have an older sister, and she wanted to name me or my older sister Phoenix, but she was kind of scared to at the time, I guess, because, I don't know. Older times, I have no idea.
New name, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But she always would tell me, growing up, she was like, wow, I literally should have named you that because you're such a phoenix. You're so fiery, you're so, on your feet. And I don't know, it's kind of cool that she gave me that name because I feel over time it has gathered more meaning for me. I kind of just took that name from her and told her that that's going to be my DJ name. And she was like, I love that. But, when she passed away and stuff, I feel it took on a whole different meaning, because I feel I actually did rise from the ashes of experiencing her death,
Yeah.
And it's trippy that she came up with it in the first place. So I'm like, what did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of symbolism there because for those who don't know, a phoenix is a mythological bird that is continuously being reborn. Right? It never dies. The flame continues going. Yeah. And that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So is it in that moment that you decided I want to go by PhiPhi instead?
Well, PhiPhi was kind of a name that came organically. I was actually I worked for Club Space for a little bit doing their social media.
Oh, very cool.
And God bless the team there. Some of the people that work there are still very close to me. And it was my friend Katarina who started in the office calling me Phi. Johnny from Space, he started calling me Phi as well, PhiPhi. And they were just calling me that, and I kind of liked it. And I almost had this urge to change Phoenix just because there was another Phoenix DJ in the mix, and then there's Phoenix the band, and there was some jokes being made that I'm gonna get a season assist one day, and I don't know, I just felt I was getting a lot of signs to change my name.
Okay.
And then it just happened organically one day. I was like, you know what, I resonate with PhiPhi right now, and I want it to be PhiPhi.
Right.
It feels more me at the moment.
Love that. Yeah. Love that. And I think when you have that calling, you just kind of know.
Exactly. It's literally, you feel it in your body for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't just an SEO type of thing.
No.
I'm never going to be Googleable. I need to.
No. I wanted to switch it up and just make it a little more unique, I guess.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So for those in the audience who may not know your sound, how would you describe it? Because
this question is always so hard.
It's a loaded question because if I were to explain it, right? Yeah. seeing you perform live at an Odd project, right? And for anyone that doesn't know, Odd is
Objects Don't Dance.
Objects
Shout
Don't
out.
Dance. Yes, big shout out. Floyd puts on this show, and it is
Well, it's
incredible.
actually it's a party hosted by True Vine, Sister System, and Johnny from Space.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's their party, and like Sister System comes up with the light installations, and she does everything basically.
Wow, that explains why it's so like the environment is so, it's like an ambiance. You know?
Yeah,
You're
it's a
like-
whole different energy in Floyd when they throw those.
Yeah, I do like it a lot.
Yeah, same.
Oh, that explains a lot. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So it's an Odd project, right? And
Odd party, I
Odd
guess.
party,
But I guess
yeah.
it's a project too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So an Odd party, and I remember going, and it's just so much experimental sound, but it's groovy. It
Yeah.
makes you dance.
For sure.
And you're like, man, I'm dancing to like robot beats,
Yeah.
but this is like fire.
I love that. They definitely put, I feel like it's more focused on like the underground artists, you know, which to me have like the biggest sounds ever, you
Yeah.
know, because they're like going through every nook and cranny to find these like crazy songs, but also a lot of the times they're producers as well. So it's like their music, which is super sick. But I love playing for those parties is always like the biggest blessings, because I feel like I am given the opportunity to explore different kind of music, whereas in other sort of gigs, like I feel like you're a little more confined, but you could really like experiment with Odd parties because they want it to be experimental. They just want it to be fun, I feel.
Yeah,
You know?
and you can feel that in
Yeah.
the DJ. When you look at the DJ, they're breaking it down in the booth.
For real.
And they look like they're enjoying themselves.
Oh, for
you know?
real. Yeah.
They just know the audience is going to do whatever they do.
Yeah.
So would you describe your sound kind of in that experimental wave, or would you go describe it differently?
I really don't know, because I feel like I almost feel like I'm like a baby in this like industry. I started DJing in 2020, which I mean 4 years is a lot, I guess, but I almost feel like there's so many other people around me that have been in the industry for way longer, and they've just like really been honing in on their sound. So I almost still feel like it's always shape-shifting, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like every DJ will always say that their sound is shape-shifting, but like right now in this current moment, I feel like I just really love to explore. I really love playing things that give a nostalgic kind of feeling. I just want people to have fun and have a good time. I love incorporating like music that was there for me as a teenager into my current set. Like I'll find a lot of edits of like 2000s R&B or stuff like that. I love incorporating the songs that meant a lot to me in the past with like new sounds, you know?
Great, yeah.
But I feel like I could play anything. I would love to play like a wedding. Truly. I feel like I love playing open format, but I also love playing like weird drummy techno. I don't even know what to call it. I'm not the best with describing genres either. Like I kind of make up the names for the genres.
And honestly, I feel like that's how music is, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain to somebody, they're like, oh, it's like a new wave sound, experimental dub. Like, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
But it is kind of a definition of how you would explain music.
That's true. I do love everything. Like I love reggae. I would love to do like a full reggae set one day, but
That'd be very cool.
yeah.
Nice.
I'm open to anything.
So
Truly.
you mentioned that you got started in 2020.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? I know this ties into Rougie Tunes as well.
Yes, Rougie Tunes.
Yes. So
Shout out Rougie Tunes.
tell me, what is Rougie Tunes and how does it begin with you DJing?
Well, Rougie Tunes is we're now all separated. We broke up. I'm kidding. But I love them. It was such a beautiful experience with Natty and Milu. Basically in 2020, we all just kind of came together. I was in college. I went to FSU. And me and Natty were very close in college because she went there too. And me and her were just the type to like always be making playlists. Like a friend of ours had a DJ board and we started to like mess around with it. We were always like on aux at the house parties. Like we just always loved like curating. And Milu was living in Miami at the time, but I feel like she picked up on like our interests and what we were doing, and she was also interested. And it was seriously so organic. Like I remember during COVID, I was like sitting in my room and I got a text from like Milu, and she put me and Natty in a group chat, and she was like, can you guys get on the phone? We're like, sure. And she basically just went off with like, we are all into music, we're all into this, like why don't we do something with it, like why don't we just start something. And we were like, yeah, like let's do it. And then Natty had the name Rougie for a while. It was like her Finsta name or something. And we kind of liked it, and we added 3 E's to it, and we just started collabing on like playlists. Like we started making curated like themed playlists, and Natty would make like the graphic for them, and then sometimes we would have people make playlists for us and like say this playlist is by this person. And then we started doing like live streams because like we couldn't do anything during COVID.
2020, that was a big time for live streams.
I know, literally, that's so true. Yeah. But we just started doing that, and then in the process we were like, why don't we all learn how to DJ together? Like it literally just happened very organically, on a whim. Yeah, organically. And we just all learned, and we never thought that we would ever be playing together in a club. Like that genuinely was not a thought in our mind ever, but it just like gained traction, it gained momentum. People were interested, people liked it, we were having so much fun, so it kind of just took its course, you know?
Wow, it just became its own life.
Literally, we had no, like, I remember Natty was like, I'm just doing this for fun. Like, I had no idea we'd be playing at like Club Space, you know? And I'm like, dude, me neither. That's actually insane.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you on lineups with big names, right?
Yeah.
Like Another, and then opening Rougie Tunes.
That's so true.
I
forget about that stuff
How did it grow to that point where you're like, Club Space picked up on it and was like, you need to open for us?
I just feel like we honestly started gathering a little community. Like we started, it also was cool because me, Natty, and Milu, I feel like we all came from our own kind of respective like community, and so when we got together we brought each of our respective communities with us. So it was like triple the power of like already having people,
all the people you know,
exactly, already having the support. And we were just getting a lot of gigs that I feel like were credible sources of what we could do. Like we played with Oscar G for a while. He had a party at 1-8. I think he still has a party.
Oh yeah,
legend. He has this party at 1-800 Lucky, and we had a residency with him for like, I don't even remember how long it was, but it was like for a pretty good amount of time. And our first gig at a club was also at ATV.
One of the best clubs in Miami.
I know. And I remember we were booked by like Dude Skywalker, and I know he's someone that plays at like Floyd. And I don't know, I feel like me and Milu would go to Space a lot, and that's basically how I kind of got a job with them, because I was like going to their parties and I was making friends with all the people that worked there, and I was just like a familiar face to them.
Wow.
You know, so I almost feel like that also helped them trust me and trust her, because they would
see you all the time.
Exactly. They would see like, oh, these girls are actually passionate about this, like they're going to the parties. And I think also the first time that we played at Floyd was because of Dude Skywalker. Wow, shout out.
Wow,
like
big shout out.
He put us
he, in my opinion, he's like
or
the king.
they.
Yeah, Dude Skywalker's too, right?
Yeah.
I consider them the kings of indie dance right now, and in terms of like in Miami, if you want that sound, Dude Skywalker.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
but they put us on their I don't know if they still have a residency. They used to have a residency at Floyd, and they brought us in, and I feel like that night went really well too, because it was like the first time that we played at Floyd, so a lot of people came to see us.
Wow.
And I feel like that helped us just be able to move to like
another
the big guy
level.
Space.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's quite an evolution.
Yeah.
Like a really big one. So
it happened very fast too.
I can tell, you know, you're like one
trippy.
year we're working, and then the next.
Yeah.
We're opening
we were literally
club.
like playing at Dom's, this like bar at Brickell. We were bringing a fold out table and our own equipment to play, and we weren't even getting paid. Like, yeah.
Quite the evolution. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize, or all the girls really in it realize, maybe we should just pursue our own passion projects and do our own thing?
Yeah, I feel like definitely Rougie was like all of our foundation. And for the most part, I think Milu always was very interested in like songwriting and singing, and DJing was almost like, she's an amazing DJ. She's still very passionate about it, but I feel like her true calling is to be a songwriter and a singer.
I see.
Which she is, a songwriter and a singer. And I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I was just like, I love music. I've always been addicted to like making playlists and like curating parties, and I was always the aux at many events growing up, but I didn't think that I could DJ. Like, I didn't think that was a thing.
It was in you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I almost feel like Ruji just taught us so much about ourselves, because through being in that, I feel like I really found my individual sound, you know? Like, we were kind of like bouncing off from each other and just really getting closer to the core of what we really wanted to do. You know, because like we all had very different sounds, me, Milu, and Nadi, which is why I feel like it worked well together, because you were getting a little bit of everything. And then it just came to a point where we were getting so confident in what we wanted to do that we were like, we're kind of just branching out in different ways,
doing our own things,
you know? And I started getting more comfortable playing alone, and I love playing alone, and so does Milu. And Nadi, she never really wanted to DJ. Like, it was really all for fun. You know, like, she's an incredible DJ and she's an incredible curator, but she has her own career, her own path. So it kind of just like blew up without her even
realizing it was going to be
exactly
this thing.
So we just like agreed, like, it's all love. Like, let's just all follow our own passion. And
that's
like,
great. It's a great way to end things.
Yeah.
Honestly. Just be like, hey, we're
and our last gig
paths.
was like so beautiful.
What was it?
It was Halloween, I think, Halloween weekend at Space. And I think we opened for, I don't know how to say them. Another?
Yeah. I say another. People say another.
I don't know.
So many different
Yeah.
variations.
I have no idea.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That is an incredible opening, and I love them. And I think that already sets the tone for what the vibe's going to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because it is just going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Singing, DJing. Yeah. It's a great energy that's in the room. So now that you're kind of following your own path, right?
Yeah.
DJ PhiPhi, right? You're doing it big. I know one thing that I saw was your Open Heart series, right? Which I loved reading through some of your notes, and also listening to some of your recordings that you had on there.
I love that you researched me.
Oh yeah, I had to, you know? So if someone were to want to find out about this, how would you describe your Open Heart series?
This is like something I'm figuring out as I go, because I still feel like it's almost like toddler phase that I'm like trying to nurture it and see where it goes. But I would say right now that Open Heart series is almost like, it's like my diary.
Okay.
I would say I call it like a medium for my heart, because I just want it to be a platform where I express like what I've been through and my thoughts and my theories. And I would also love for it to be a platform that people can look to if they need almost like advice on something, or especially through grief and death. Like, I would love them to be able to look at Open Heart series and maybe gain some tools, some or insight, some knowledge. And I want it. It's basically a place for me to like really express myself in my writing, my photography, my podcasts. Like, I want it to be everything, you know,
definitely
that is like close to my heart, if that makes sense.
I saw that, and it was I saw it as like a great outlet already, right?
Yes.
So you can express what you're thinking.
Yes.
And whoever can relate to it. The titles made perfect sense to if you're looking for something, it was there.
Yeah.
I was like,
I also love talking. I love writing. So I was like,
this is natural.
It's
great.
Exactly.
And if anyone wanted to find this, where is it actually?
It's on Instagram. Okay. And I also have a Patreon, which is where I put my podcasts.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
I also have a Twitter, and I love Twitter. So.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Twitter is a beast of its own.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I think it shows the comedy, like how funny people really are. Yeah. And they're just on
hilarious.
the internet.
It's hilarious. And there's also some people that are like
very intelligent,
saying some truth out there. I'm like, wow.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. So one thing I saw on the Open Heart series was the Teenage Dreams shows.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes.
What is the Teenage Dreams series, or just shows and events?
So Teenage Dream was inspired actually by another podcast of this woman named Saisoon. Her name's Gabby Abrao. She's amazing. But she made this podcast about being a teenager and how we could almost appreciate our teenage selves more and learn from them. And she basically goes into how when you're a teenager, you're so fearless and you're so willing to do anything without thinking too much into it, and you're just able to like shamelessly fangirl. And that brought me back to thinking about my teenage self, and it made me like love her so much more, you know. And then I was just thinking about all the music in my teenage years that really got me through like those teenage angsty times, you know. Like I was like obsessed with music. Like if I was going through like a heartbreak, like a crush not liking me back or something, I would listen to music and like cry in my room, and I would make playlists. I would make like all my friends' personal playlists and like update them. Like music was just a huge part of my whole life, but especially as a teenager, I feel like I was so addicted to just like being a fangirl.
Yeah.
You know, I was like super addicted to like Panic at the Disco and like 21 Pilots. I just like, I really went in, especially like Hannah Montana, like whatever. And so listening to that podcast and like reflecting on my own teenage years, really, I got this idea. I was like, what if I threw a party and I only DJ'd like the stuff that I listened to as a teenager? Like that is so fun, and I'm sure people would connect to that because the music is so amazing. Like I'm still out here listening to Hannah Montana and Demi Lovato and Gwen Stefani, and I forgot, like I don't really remember right now how it came to be at Over Under. But shout out Over Under, shout out
great bar for that,
Ashley, for like believing in me. But yeah, it really just came out of nowhere, and my friend made a flyer for me very quickly. Shout out Hold That Pepsi. And then I had the party, and it was amazing. Like it was one of my favorite nights DJing ever, because I didn't realize how healing it would be to be DJing the music that meant so much to me in the past, but also being able to connect with the people in the present and like
move them with that music.
And sing along with them too. Like I love singing along to stuff.
I know,
you know?
I totally agree. And there's a sense of nostalgia that's just so strong.
Exactly.
Which, you know, it's like one of the strongest feelings you can feel.
For sure.
So it is very powerful. And I can see how that could catch like wildfire.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you mentioned in your Open Heart series is you had this excerpt that I thought was a fascinating concept. And you mentioned, is God here on the dance floor with us now? Now, I know that sounds great, but honestly, the concept made a lot of sense, you know, because when you look into the crowd, you see all this energy just flowing, people moving.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that idea that you had when you wrote that?
Yeah. I had a gig and I was completely sober. All I had was like a green tea. I love having a green tea before a gig, and I feel like it just opens me up. But I was just I remember being so intuitive with what I was playing that night, and I wasn't as in my head as I could be. I was more in like feeling my body and feeling the energy around me, and I almost feel like the crowd felt it, and like what I was feeling, they were feeling, and what I was picking, I wasn't really looking at the songs. I was just like picking from what it felt like. And music is so powerful, and it makes me think of like drum circles and like rituals that people would perform like way back in the day. And that's always been a thing, like performing a ritual with music. It's always connected you to some higher power or
some energy.
It's like, it also, music connects everyone. Like that is a universal language. So it's like when everyone is connected, everyone's on the same frequency, and they're harnessing that energy and dancing, that's just like exerting even more energy. So I just feel like that is bringing in some higher source into the room. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely do.
Yeah.
And if you speak with a lot of people who are in the scene or just like enjoyers of the music and the events, they'll tell you that they have had some of the most spiritual moments at a set.
Exactly.
Or at a show.
It's wild. Like sometimes I'll see a DJ and I'm like deeply moved, and it's like, this is some otherworldly stuff. Like this is like crazy.
Profound.
Yeah,
it really
exactly.
It really is. Well, I love that you wrote about that, because I think that really gets to the essence and the core of what music is.
Yeah.
Right? And how transformative it can be for people.
Facts.
Even with what you mentioned with the teenage dreams.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like looking into like an inner child.
Yes,
right? And
literally.
loving that.
But I almost feel like the inner teen, not that it's more important, I think it's all important, but it's just easier to relate to your inner teen because it's like closer in age.
I see.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah.
No, you can relate to it more.
Exactly.
Right?
Like you remember more from your teenage
years
than your childhood years. Yeah.
Yep. It's very true.
Yeah.
So tell me about another concept that you wrote about in your Open Heart series, and that is your mom, right? I read this and I could tell that your mom had a very transformative effect on you. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. It's actually so trippy because I feel like she has taught me so much more like not being alive than being alive. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've never really experienced a death until her, but it's almost forced me to like understand love and death in a whole different way because I have no choice. It's just my reality. But I remember at her like mass, I said a speech, and I said in the speech like everything that I do is for you, and I feel like that still is very true because I feel the most connected to myself when I feel connected to my mom, and she was always just the biggest supporter of anything I wanted to do that made me happy. Like when I wanted to start DJing, she was like, she bought me the DJ board. She was like, yeah, like start DJing. Like she would always tell me like, you have so many amazing ideas and you don't act on them. Like, why don't you act on them? And I'm like,
it's powerful.
That's tea. Like she would tell me that when I was younger and had less discipline, and but she just was a model of love for me growing up. Like she was always so forgiving and understanding, and I feel like we are very similar, which is why she was. But I just think of her so often whenever I'm like going through anything in life. Like I feel like she is almost like my northern star, just because she, like the way that I am is because of her. You know, she always, what's that French saying? The joie de vivre. Like she had that lust for life. And,
I see.
You know, she
live,
was always down to party, to socialize. Not party, but she always was down to just be a host and like have an Aperol Spritz and just have a good time. She loved music. Like I grew up listening to the Beatles like every single day because of her. Good
music.
Oh yeah. My parents have great taste in music. But she just, like everything that I'm passionate about, I feel like really comes from her, you know, because she comes from a family of musicians, like Cuban musicians. So I feel like that passed down to me. Yeah. And she was just always so supportive of anything having to do with art and happiness and love. Like, yeah.
How do you feel that's influenced you in the artist you are today?
Well, that's crazy.
Deep question, but, you know?
I just feel like her death like opened my heart so much more to being compassionate and loving and being myself, because I'm like, wow, like you could die anytime, so just why not be yourself, you know? And I feel like that translates into the art that I do because there's just like more love in it and there's like more compassion in it, and I feel like it almost like opened up my reality to just see more things and feel more things and just create more deeply, if that makes sense.
It definitely does. Yeah. And you can get a sense of appreciation for life as a whole, you know, when you look at it through that lens.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you were able to become the artist you are today through all these experiences. And One thing I saw is your rise from Rougie Tunes to now PhiPhi.
Mm-hmm.
You've been surrounded by a lot of girlfriends, a lot of feminine energy that's been very empowering. Do you think the music industry needs a little bit more of that as a whole?
I mean, I feel like anywhere could use a little more feminine energy, you know? Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely do think it would be really cool to see women be at the forefront of the industry a lot more, but I almost feel like that's happening. There's so many like strong women around me that are taking charge, and I mean every woman that I know like takes charge in some way, you know, but I don't know, I'm like trying to think of my answer.
No, it's fine. Like if it's something that you've already been experiencing as a whole, then that's the answer. You know,
I mean, my answer is just like everywhere could use more feminine energy because we need women, you know?
Facts.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
So what do you think is going to be next for PhiPhi? DJ PhiPhi, like, is there going to be another event, another passion project? What do you envision?
Well, there is a Teenage Dream 1-year anniversary.
Oh, really?
In July 6th.
Okay.
At Over Under.
All right.
Yeah, that's the next party I'm having, but maybe a music festival I'm playing at this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can it be announced already, or?
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right, so we're just going to leave that out. But music festival coming soon.
Yeah, music festival coming soon, and I really have no idea. I want to like release more podcasts for sure, but other than that, right now I'm just going with the flow. You know?
Great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned getting into podcasting.
Yes.
Now, do you normally do this on your own, or is it with a guest? How do you normally go about it?
I kind of just also wanted it to be like a diary entry, like
so
but me talking.
The Open Heart series.
Yes,
okay.
Like just me talking about what I'm going through and different theories that I have, different subjects that I'm interested in. I would like to have guests on, but it would be very like chill, like probably in my room, it's almost like just a recording of a conversation, not like an actual interview. Okay. You know? That I feel like that would be my vibe, but yeah, I love talking. I love talking to people.
So I would love to talk about like creating, right? You seem like a very artistic, which you are, person. How has having a creative outlet helped you, even in your personal life?
Wow, that's a good question. I feel like it's definitely just made me have like deeper connections in a way, because creativity is something that I feel like is so personal, and if you're able to share that with the world, I feel like that means you're connecting with yourself deeply. And I don't know if you've heard that quote that's like, you could only connect with someone else as deeply as you're connecting with yourself, which I think is very true. But having an outlet is so nice, because there's certain things that I write or that I think about that I just like feel like I want it to be seen, and not because I'm like trying to outsource validation, but more so because I feel like someone could read it and connect to it.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, I'm sure most artists feel that way, and that's why they release music. I know it's mostly for them, but it is really nice that creativity can connect you to like a stranger, you know?
It's very true.
Yeah.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Exactly.
Right?
So true. Yeah.
So where do you see it going next? You mentioned the podcasting, the DJing. Are you trying to maybe like combine the two or do something different? Like, what do you see?
I didn't think about that. No, I always have this thing in my head that I would love to make music. So maybe I'll tackle that at some point, because I love writing and I have written things that could technically be songs. I just haven't taken the next step because the technology behind it kind of freaks me out, but I just need to get over that.
It is very intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at all of it, you're like, holy cow. This is
yeah, it's a lot.
To produce would be a lot.
For sure.
Yes. Now, are you still very engaged with the Miami scene, going out as much? Or?
Well, I feel like I did my going out, you know, like I went to FSU and I went a little crazy there. And with Rougie, that was a very fast-paced kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I love to party. I just feel like now I'm more selective with what I go to. A lot of the times the parties that I go to are my friends are playing, my loved ones are playing, or like people that I'm a really big fan of are playing. You know, like I won't go out just to go out anymore. But I still feel very connected to the Miami scene because
it's part of you.
Yeah, it's a part of me.
It really
which
is
is cool to say for sure.
For anyone out there that's listening that would like to be involved in the music scene or just make more connections, what advice would you give for them?
I would probably just tell them to be themselves shamelessly and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And if you want gigs, you have to go to the gigs. You have to become the party goer, you know?
I've been hearing that a lot more from all the guests that I've had on. I ask them for tips, and a lot of them tell me, you got to actually go to the places you want to be at.
You really do.
If you want to envision yourself on that stage, you got to go there.
You have to be there to see it and envision yourself on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And just like be friendly. You know, you never know who you're going to meet. And being nice really goes the longest way ever.
Definitely.
You know?
And what about with connecting with others just in the scene in general? Like obviously you're all there at a show. You know, you like the same taste in music.
Yeah.
But how do you find yourself connecting with someone more deeply? Because sometimes I feel a lot of the relationships in the music industry can be very superficial.
For sure. Yeah. It's definitely time and place. Like I feel like at the club isn't really the time to like have a really deep conversation. You know, like it for sure can happen.
Sure, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. That's so true. But yeah, time and place. Like I said, like being nice goes a long way, and I feel like the people that you are supposed to connect with will always like make their way back to you if it's like an actual connection, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And are you still collaborating with the girls in Rougie Tunes at all, or like exchanging ideas or anything?
No.
Oh,
like
wow.
they've taken their own life. Like Milu is out here being a superstar. Like she's literally in Ibiza right now, like DJing like the craziest clubs ever. Natty is also succeeding in her career and living her life. But I do like, we text, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Nice. And do you still keep in touch with the people at Space and Floyd?
Yeah. Some of them that still work there are very close to me, and I'll love them forever. And I'll thank them forever, for
Definitely.
sure.
I know some of them on the social media team, like Laura.
Yes.
She's fantastic.
Love Laura. Yeah, me and Laura went to FSU together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, very
and we
cool.
actually were part of like this house music collective together there.
That's really cool. Was it House Hats?
Yes. We were like the only girls on it. We were like, yeah, we love music.
Shout out to House Hats. What's crazy is I feel like they were the new beginnings for a lot of people. And during that 2020 time, I think, is when they really took over.
Yeah.
And the wildest thing about COVID was that Florida was like the only place open low-key in the world. Like,
no, actually, Florida's insane.
It was kind of wild.
Yeah.
I remember being in Orlando and seeing House Hats just kind of spring up. And everywhere else is on lockdown. And they're like, no, we're still throwing underground parties and like at clubs. And it was a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone could be involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
So it was very cool.
Yeah.
Is that what kind of got you into the social media and, you know, planning things out? Because I know you mentioned you did that for Floyd.
Yes. I don't think I ever really liked social media unless it was my own. I almost feel like, even though I'm so grateful for that experience working with them, I think what I craved from that is just being in like the industry and like being part of a team. Like I was just so attracted to what they were doing, and I loved going to their parties and like what their parties made me feel, that I was like, okay, I want to be part of this somehow, you know? So when I saw they were hiring, I applied and I tried my best, you know.
You got it.
And
so
I got it.
You got it. So
Turns out I don't really love social media unless it's my own.
Fair enough. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot,
yeah. It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So how'd you become involved with House Hats? Because you mentioned it was at FSU.
That was like a blimp in the
timeline.
You know? But I just, in FSU, I started going out to see a lot of DJs, a lot of tech house DJs at the time. And
that's what was bumping at the time.
I know, literally, like I saw Green Velvet so many times. I'm trying to think who else I saw, like Noizu. I don't remember, but I just saw that House Hats was throwing like events at FSU, and at the time I was like really into film photography. I still love taking photos, but I thought at that time that's what I wanted to do, photography. And I started taking photos for their events, and then I was like, wait, I actually love this kind of music. Like, I want to be a part of it more deep.
Ongoing,
You know what I can't talk
yeah.
right now. But so I just joined, but I feel like I really didn't do anything. Like, I just would go to the meetings with Laura and be like, yo, I love music. Like,
what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Music lover here.
Literally, yeah. I just wanted to like scope it out.
I see. Well, it's a good way to start, just kind of the vibe of what it's like.
Yeah,
to
and
be
just
with the
seeing,
team, like you mentioned.
Yeah, you gotta try stuff out to see what you like.
And see who your tribe is.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
you mesh with.
Yeah, exactly.
So very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So for anyone in the audience who has, wants to learn more about you, what would you tell them, right? Like something that is more, that describes you, right? That you haven't mentioned maybe. It's a tough question.
Yeah. Like,
could be anything. Like, yo, I'm a crazy soccer player. Shout out to
I have a sprained ankle, y'all. No, I would just say that I love people, and I'm just a nerd for knowledge. I love to get to know life in all its ways. I love to read. I love food. I love cooking.
All right.
I love like a lot of things,
Good. Yeah. Keep an open book, open mind.
Yeah.
And keep
straight up.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
What's
I'm always
important.
always down to learn, always down to have any kind of conversation, and I'm always down to like be given a different POV, so it challenges mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here, PhiPhi. This has been a pleasure. Yeah. We've had a fantastic conversation. I hope you've enjoyed yourself as well.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Imagine I'm like, no.
Well, I'll be like, oh. Well, thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. This is The Electronic Age. Be sure to follow us at The Electronic Age Pod, and we look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Peace out. That's it.